and we welcome you to Football Fridays, but on a Saturday. It's a special edition of Football Fridays that you have stayed with us the entire season long. Football Fridays normally is the home soccer matchup for Fullerton College on a Friday night at Hal Sherbeck Field. Tonight's a little different. It is the first round, not the qualification round as Mark calls it, but the first round to all three of us of the 3C 2A playoffs. That's right, Fullerton College taking on LA City tonight. We have ourselves a little pregame. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich joining you as we get set for LA City and Fullerton College. Guys, you look at Fullerton College, we have seen them all year long. Joe, you've been here for each of these Football Fridays. You take a look at this Fullerton team. You said it at the start of this last season, or at the start of this season, I should say. It's a different team than what we saw last year.
Yeah, it is a completely different team, and that's because we had two All-Americans that did not return this year. And I think a lot of us, with how they performed last year, were expecting not them to do poorly, but we weren't expecting them to have the run that they've had, I'll say. Not that we didn't expect them to do well in the OEC conference, not that we didn't as the season went on or even as the season started. Doubted Greg Avila's and his coaching staff ability to train up these young men, these student athletes, and get them to potentially maybe go the distance, just like the team did the last year. He's had a program that's got a pedigree. You guys, right?
No, absolutely.
Last 2 or 3 years. I mean, including this year, back to back to back OEC champions, right? So I didn't know what they would do. I know they would do well, but losing two All-Americans, I mean, when you go from how the team did last year to how the team we were assuming would go this year, there's a lot of unknowns because we saw how they did with two All-Americans.
Right.
And they did some awesome stuff, but also Misael Gonzalez being the golden foot on the team. We saw in playoff play, postseason play, we saw him getting double, triple teamed, and that became to the detriment of Fullerton College. So it was a lot of, this is what they did, but what are they going to do now? Can they match that? Can they not?
Well, Mark, I'll switch it over to you. Exactly what Joe is saying. Very different style this season because you said it, I believe it was 2 weeks ago on Football Fridays. This is almost a soup-like Fullerton College program. And what we mean by that is that you're tossing everything in. Every single person on this lineup can score and has scored. You're looking at a lineup for Fullerton College that has over 15 different goal scorers so far this season and nobody with over 4.
Yeah, and I think when you looked at the season, I know a lot of people took El Camino. They thought about Cerritos when they were coming out there. Of course, because I do Saddleback and Cypress soccer, I went with two dark horses. I thought they had a good chance because they played good defense. When I had the pleasure of being on the air with you two to do Football Fridays when I was available and you guys let me into the booth, you watch this Fullerton College team, and I think this is the year of soccer where I'm going to go back, Ryan. You and Joe have been around watching soccer long enough. This is more traditional soccer. This is not where you're going to see that 5-goal blowout in a game. This is defense, 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 and I think that Fullerton is one of the better defensive teams. I think they're better this year defensively than they were last year defensively. And on the flip side, for the offense, I don't know where the ball's going to get scored from. And you can look, I know last week when you guys did the game when I was out there, we all talked about who could be that wild card. Well, you can talk about Max Ron. You can talk about Hayden Kenny. I even talked about Yoel, and Joe sort of looked at me in the booth last week and said, wait a minute, you're talking about a defenseman? Yeah, because he can go end to end. And of course, I think it's Cesar Marquez. I think that's Cesar's last name. He showed me something at Saddleback with the way he can handle the ball. I do believe somebody like that, somebody in his category that we don't even talk about, is going to be the superstar in the playoffs for Fullerton.
Well, you look at Fullerton College, you mentioned that back line. For the second straight year, they get the Defender of the Year title in the Orange Empire Conference. This time, it's Andrew Areola. This year, we saw him score a game winner earlier this season. Joe and I watched where, he ends up giving up a penalty very late in a match. I believe this was, about 2.5 minutes left?
Mm-hmm.
Less than 45 seconds later, comes back, scores the game winner on his own. This is a guy who Fullerton has been able to rely upon and has gotten better with each and every match that we have seen so far this season. But Joe, you look at this Fullerton program, only 15 goals against. You said it. At the start of the season, we weren't sure what the identity of this program was going to be coming into this year. Clearly, it has become defense.
Yeah, that's a through line I think you can make through a lot of Fullerton College sports. Defense seems to be king in a lot of programs around here at Fullerton College. And kind of echoing to Mark and the bag of cats that Fullerton College seems to be on the field. I can't recall his name, but somebody on Fullerton College last Football Friday, they got their first marker of the season, right? That
You are
was
absolutely correct. It was Cisco Torres who got his first of the season.
yeah. So again, kind of speaking to Mark's thing, we're entering postseason play. New people are finding the back of the net. And I forgot what you asked me. So I wanted to make that point.
No, you're absolutely right, because you look at Cisco Torres, Cisco more of a defensive midfielder and making sure that he helps with the Fullerton breakout from their own defensive third. But this time he becomes the guy with the game winner against Saddleback. And that's something huge because, as we mentioned it throughout the season, Fullerton has looked at everyone on the roster. Like we said, over 15 different goal scorers, nobody with more than 4. Max Ron is tied for the lead at 4. And I believe his last goal came halfway through the season. So if you're looking at it from a Fullerton College roster's perspective, it's really tough to be able to decipher who's going to be dangerous. Now, very quickly, I'll switch it to the other side. Mark, I know you have a lot to say about PowerPoints, but this is an LA City team that is extremely dangerous. Fullerton came in with the final bye week spot. They got the 8th spot with that win over Saddleback. LA City was right there with them, neck and neck. All they needed was a win in their last game. Instead, Fullerton is the one who gets it in their final game of the season. And LA City, with number 9, gets a big, exciting 4-3 win over top of College of the Desert earlier this week. They're a very dangerous opponent for Fullerton to go up against.
Well, I think the big thing is that we talk about the goalkeepers for your Fullerton team. And when you look at the leaders of the OEC, it's Fullerton College, 1 and 2 for goalkeepers. When you look at LACC, you've got to look at Emilio Garcia, that's at 0.65. I mean, he has played over 2,000 minutes in goal. So that's not a fluke. That means he's got a defense in front of him. Do they go out and necessarily score a bunch of goals? They're a team that would mirror Fullerton in that sense that they don't have anybody that really goes out there, maybe Rojas because he's got 16, but they've got 2 people at the top of their heap, Ryan, that are scores. The rest of the team, who knows? My problem with LACC is they got at this ranking because of PowerPoints, and you know how I despise RPI and PowerPoints. It's who you lose to can help you with how you lose to them too. And really, when you look at who they played some of the top teams in the Southern section because they're in the same conference with some of them, and that keeps them up there where they're sitting. If you want to say, then Cyprus and maybe you could look at everybody in the OEC, and Saddleback should be up much higher. Saddleback just missed the top 8 because of who they played. I mean, look at what Greg did with his team. He went outside the state of California and took on some monsters to play and invited a couple monsters here. I don't think he got the love in the PowerPoint ranking. That's just my observation. Okay. I think if he would have gotten love and got more love for what he did in conference, because they play in a very strong conference. Santa Ana was in it. Cypress is in it. You look at Fullerton being in it. You look at Saddleback being in it. 4 of the teams are in the playoff. Santa Ana lost to Cypress because it was OEC against OEC. I think Fullerton got the short stick. And I think they shouldn't have been fighting for number 8. I would have put them around the number 6 point. And I think if that was it, I would drop LACC a little, and I think it wouldn't be that threat. But if it's goalkeepers against goalkeepers, it's anybody's game.
Well, Joe, I'll swing it back over to you. You look at LA City so far this season, one thing that really pops off the page for me when it comes to their stats, 135 shots against that they have given up compared to their 85 that they have put up against their opponents. You look at that from a Fullerton perspective, Joe. Is it going to be the type of night where Fullerton is going to have to play into that and just pour shots on like you've been asking for from outside the box?
Yes, I think so. I mean, if you're the sort of team that's going to let them take the shots and seemingly looking at the stats, because I haven't watched them play, but looking at the numbers, if you're going to let me take shots, I'm going to take shots. And like Marcus said, writing the fairy tale ending that Fullerton College looks like they're intent to try to write this year with winning state, it takes some skill, but it's also a little bit of luck. And so if you're letting me take 10, 20 shots in this game, man, one of them's got to get through. Somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to misstep. Somebody's not going to see something, and you're going to get that lucky shot. And even looking at their goal scorers on here compared to Fullerton, where it could come from anywhere, and maybe you're not sure. You know, a couple guys you maybe want to keep an eye on, but then like last week, Cisco Torres, right?
Yeah.
Comes out of nowhere. Who was guarding him, right? You probably didn't think he was a threat because he hadn't put a marker up for the season. And LA City or LACC is looking at maybe almost being like Fullerton last year. They have their main guns that they're going to try to send the ball to find the back of the net. And so what do? You double, triple team them if possible. You know the guys you need to look out for. Fullerton's front line, who do you look out for? There's one or two guys, but like you said, no one's more than 4 goals on the team, and they seem to come from anywhere. And I would like you guys to have them coming from any range. But you take the shots you can take, right? And it's Greg's system, and the players really seem to be playing into that, and that seems to be what's leading them to success.
And to your point with those top 2 goal scorers, Daniel Lopez Rosas with 8 goals, 16 points this season, no assists, but he does have 13 shots. So you're connecting on nearly 62% of your shots on goal. Then you go to Quetzalcoatl Latenchi, who has 5 goals, 2 assists, 12 points to his credit. Excuse me. As you were mentioning, Joe, there are 2 top gunners for this program. Then after that, you have 3 different guys with 2, a couple more with 1. But they are a defensively focused club. Now, Mark, I switch it over to you. You've seen the OEC all season long, but when it comes to these playoffs, at some point there will be a team, whether it be in this matchup coming up or not, you're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone of what you're used to playing in order to get a win.
Well, yeah, I think there could be that one game where you're going to have to.
And we welcome you to what would normally be Football Fridays here on Hornet Radio. I am Ryan Osborne. In a minute, I will be joined by Joseph Pavlenko and the entire crew here from Hornet Radio as we get set for the second round of the 3C2A playoffs here on Hornet Radio. Again, I am Ryan Osborne. Fullerton College is the host as they host LA City. The Cubs end up coming in at a 12-7-5 record with Javier Campos leading them to what was a second-place finish in their conference tournament. They had an excellent showing a few moments ago. You saw myself, Joe, and Mark break down what was or what is going to be a fantastic matchup here tonight from Fullerton. Now, when you look at Fullerton College, of course, as you have seen all season long on Football Fridays, today it is the second round of the 3C2A playoffs. Fullerton College, for the most part, has been a very balanced squad. Fullerton's offensive attack, for the most part, has been, well, plain and simple. Not one single guy that you can go to and say is going to take over from the immediacy throughout everything. As I bring in Joseph Pavlenko.
Hi.
Joe, you take a look at both of these 2 guys. It does indeed. You look at everyone for Fullerton College attacking-wise. You mentioned it yesterday. It's the bag of cats here for Fullerton on the attack, but when you look at it on the other side for LA City College, Fullerton has to be prepared to go out and attack, like you said yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. You've got Daniel Lopez Rosas, and we have a name that I'm not going to pronounce, and look at you.
I was told Q Latenchi.
Latenchi,
Yes,
who
Latenchi.
both have been, let's say, prolific goal scorers for LA City College. But then you go down and you look at the stat sheet at Fullerton College. Like Mark said, like we said yesterday, no, not one player with more than 4 scores, 4 marks of the season. And people still finding they were on the score sheet as far into the season as last week. So you really don't know where those shots will come from. You don't know who they'll come from as the game already starts to look a little physical, Ryan.
Yeah, Fullerton College gets a foul. And in a moment here, we'll go to the starting lineups with LA City College, as LA City is going to end up going with Emilio Garcia in net, which is a surprise. We'll get to why that is in just a little bit. With Brandon Bears, in addition to Denningson Morales and Jay Hernandez. Joel Miranda and Angel Martinez will be joined by Junior Vasquez and Salam Youssef. Chris Ferrafino joined by Jorge Gomez and Luis Juarez. Those are the 11 to start for the LA City College Cubs, who had an excellent showing in the SEC tournament just last week. Last week, these Cubs ended up losing, well, plain and simple. They lost 4 of their last 7 matches that they played in, but where it really mattered is they got 2 straight wins in their tournament to start things off in the SEC. They end up beating Mount Sac by a 2-1 score, who they had just lost to 1-0 a week before. They get a win over El Camino in penalty kicks, and then they end up with a 1-0 loss to Long Beach, the #1 seed in Southern California. So LA City is a very well-equipped team. They end up with the only seed directly below Fullerton at number 9. Fullerton, of course, getting that Saddleback win, allowing for them to host at number 8. But this is a LA City team, Joe, that plain and simple is very good, and they will present a big-time challenge for Fullerton tonight.
Yeah, Fullerton was able to, because of that number 8 seeding, they were able to go on a short little vacation. They didn't have to see any action on Tuesday or Wednesday like some of the other teams around the conference. But LA City showed up, they put in work, and I think they ended up winning their game. What did we see it was? 4-3? Yeah.
They end up with a 4-3 final. You look at LA City College and what they did in that first round against College of the Desert. They end up getting, like Joe mentioned, a 4-3 final that goes in their favor. First round matchup against College of the Desert, they went up 2-0 on a brace by Daniel Lopez Rosas, but they gave up the opener for College of the Desert in the 70th minute and got the equalizer scored on them in the 85th by Aiden Brothers to draw it even. So they go to extra time. And when it comes to this LA City team, one thing that has been consistent for them all season is this ball goes out of play near side touchline. But one thing that has been consistent for them is that they are continually able to go out and get markers when they truly need them to. Now, you look at extra time, once they did get past those regulation 90, and Luis Juarez ended up getting the opening scoring in extra time 5 minutes into the extra frame, and then 5 minutes later, Jorge Gomez ends up getting the game winner as College of the Desert would get one back in the 105th as Yole nearly gets that one poked away from him.
That's a lot of minutes.
It is a lot of minutes. I mean, you end up playing 120 if you go to that extra time frame in both of those two 15-minute halves. And they get 2, College of the Desert gets 1, and that allows for them to move on to play Fullerton here at Hal Sherbeck Field. Just under 5 minutes gone here in the city of Fullerton, Hal Sherbeck Field, with a very nice presence of crowd between the Fullerton supporters directly beneath us and the LA City supporters on the far side of the pitch. LA City pops this one into the air with Luis Juarez. Juarez sees that one go sky high and taken away by the Cubs. They try and get it over to Juarez, doesn't connect with him, and Youssef is going to play it back. Taken away from him for a moment by Jacob Bonds, and Bonds is going to look for someone else, finally finds Giovanni Sanchez, and Sanchez has to turn back for it. Sanchez sees that one go off of LA City. Fullerton has to bring it back.
Well, and that was something last week on Football Fridays, Ryan. We were kind of talking about, you said a nice evening. Brisk evening, though. I'd say this was maybe colder than the last evening we were here.
Right.
And then, what did we say, about an hour ago? Light rainfall, so the ground was a little wet. Probably adds to the cold and the chill in the air. Everybody in the grandstands, bundled up tonight.
Well, one thing that a lot of people don't realize, especially with turf like you have here in Fullerton, is that with that water comes a little bit of extra weight too. So the floor or the ground is going to be a little bit more matted down. It's also going to be a lot slicker. So by the time that you approach the ball, you're going to have to mentally prepare for those things as you're trying to get your touch in.
Well, and hot turf sucks to fall in because it's hot rubber. cold turf sucks to fall in because it's cold, hard rubber.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It feels like you're falling on concrete almost, depending on how the play ends up working out. Ball goes out on the far side touchline. In fact, it goes past the away fan supporter fence, and Hayden Kenny says, you know what, I'll just get one from the goal and toss it over. And that ends up working as Nathan Giles will step up to that ball, and he's going to throw it in. He's the specialist for Fullerton in terms of toss-ins, as this one goes down the middle of the park. Will go inside the 18-yard box, and Fullerton will retreat with Cisco Torres. He pops one over towards the far side. It's going to be offsides if Ariola gets to it. He does, and that will be a whistle against Fullerton College. So Emilio Garcia is the starter for LA City, and here's why that is a surprise, Joe. Carlos Rodriguez has played every other game with the exception of one. And for Carlos Rodriguez, 23 games started, 2,065 minutes, 15 goals against, a .65 goals against average. This is a heavily defensive team in LA City College. They rely on being able to stay back in their own end and be okay, as Fullerton gets called for a foul on Marquez. But Emilio Garcia is the one who's going to get the start tonight, and he gets the call. He's got to step up in a very big way. On the right-hand side, the Cubs pick it up, slid away for a moment by Cisco Torres. Torres will find this go all the way back, and it will find Ferrafino. Ferrafino, one of the leading scorers for this squad. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist, good for 5 points. Check back down, taken away by the Hornets. And now Jacob Ponce will have it. Yol, who you heard Mark Pavlovich say is going to be a key for Fullerton College in this one, is able to move things off to the left-hand side. Hayden Kenny backtracking. Ends up getting fouled, and Ferrafino is the one who gets called for it.
Well, I get the up and over, but the up and over and then doing a push-up on your opponent's back, that's a technique.
Just both teams trying to get into each other's head in the early going. Cesar Marquez was having a little bit of a discussion with one of the Cubs earlier as well. Both these teams know each other very well. You look at the region that both these squads are in, lots of familiarity. Many of these guys have played each other in high school as well. So they are well acquainted with one another. 37:45 on the clock.
Well, and aside from some occasional chippiness, both teams seem pretty cool, calm, and collected on the field.
You're going to see a lot of physicality from both squads because LA City College has a knack for being one of the best possession games when it comes to defensive side of the ball. So they're not going to hold the ball in terms of time of possession, if that makes sense, as Marquez tries to catch up to this one, skied out by Ferrafino. So they're going to allow their opponent to bring the ball up and attack on them. But where they get their success is that they don't allow a lot of high-quality chances. So they're going to force everyone to the wing. They're going to force you to be real methodical coming up the park, which drives a lot of shot totals up. And you'll see in the total shot totals for themselves and also their opponents, 135 shots that they have given up, 85 in favor of them. This is down the middle, a chance for the Hornets as it gets cleared up for a second. Pop back in, playing ping pong as both these two sides. Here's Cisco Torres off his right foot, takes a shot. There's another opportunity for Marquez, and he sends it up and high.
Well, and Ryan, that's been Fullerton's MO, let's say, all season long. They want to take it up their wings and feed it into that, cone in front of the goal and try to create scoring opportunities that way. So how LA City likes to play plays into how Fullerton College kind of likes to run their offense, and it'll be interesting to see which play style edges the other out, let's say.
And already you're starting to see the pitch have a little bit of an impact. This will be a corner kick in favor of Fullerton. Hayden Kenny trying to get his bench and also the sideline to give them some more energy. But you see where the pitch comes into play, what we were talking about with the precipitation earlier. Just a few moments ago, Emilio Garcia goes to clear one out to the outlet on his left-hand side. The ball deadens after 15 feet, and it allows for Fullerton to get back into that play. So we'll see how that keeps going the rest of the night, if that changes, especially with the overcast staying here in Fullerton. Little pop-up, far post. This side tipped away by Garcia. Garcia had to take over quickly, and it's a very quick out by Yusuf. Yusuf trying to go up the sideline, takes a funny hop right before getting to Dennington Morales, and the reason being is that it hit Cisco Torres' foot and goes out of play. So throw-in coming up for LA City College and taken away very quickly by Evan Yole. He's going to pop that one right back out, and another throw-in to the Cubs. Little check down, Cisco. He takes over. Now Hayden Kenny tries to drop it over to Giovanni Sanchez. Not on the same page communication-wise between those two teammates. And the Hornets looking to take it away. They have it for a moment. They do take it away, and Hayden Kenny has a chance, pops it up over his head. He's trying to catch up to it in time. Little contact there. Garcia has to reach behind him.
What a run. And I don't know if that's so much as they didn't have the same thing in mind, Ryan, but I think Hayden Kenny was so preoccupied with making the run from the pass that I don't think he gave the pass as much as he needed to get to his teammate.
Here's Marquez leaving it for Max Ron, who ends up being a first-team All-Orange Empire Conference selection. Into a lot of traffic, getting contact there is Dennington Morales. He gets that one taken away. Going to something that you talked about last week and also in the pregame, Joe, Fullerton College has decided that they want to go to Hayden Kenny and establish a lot of position here with him in the attacking third. The last 3 times down the park, he has had a touch on the ball and trying to distribute and get the point of attack working for the Hornets. Away goes LA City College, taken away for a moment. Giovanni Sanchez can't catch up to it. Skied away over towards Nathan Giles, and it goes out for a throw-in. 33-30 left to go in the first half of play, so just about 12 minutes in, actually 11 and a half if you want to be real technical, Mark Pavlovich. But the Hornets and the Cubs tied at no score. And again, if it goes to penalties, as we have seen in the past with Fullerton College, of course, last year, there's a foul against Marquez. He raises his arm and says, yep, that was me. And then earlier this season, actually last week, of course, with the SEC tournament, as LA City ends up moving on due to PKs. Swung out by Nathan Giles. An all-conference selection in his own right, second-team all-conference for Giles. And it will be a corner kick coming up to LA City.
You know, something that we talk about a lot, especially when we're talking about the OEC conference, is teams having backlines that are good. Decent goalies, good goalies, sometimes excellent or prolific goalies on the teams. But most of the teams, it seems like in the Orange Empire Conference, defense is a big part of the equation. LACC, the Cubs, have a couple foots on the team. They've been able to find the back of the net consistently throughout the season, but their backlines also looked pretty comfortable this entire game, Ryan.
Yeah, this one off the volley goes up over top, and Joel Miranda trying to get that one on frame, can't get that one to go. Lots of guys warming up on the far side of the pitch, and it looks like we may have a wholesale change in terms of substitution at next available opportunity in just a moment for LA City College. But going to your point, Joe, you look at the back line for LA City College, 3 straight guys, all making sure that Giovanni Sanchez and Hayden Kenny can't get the attempts on the ball that they would like, and it has not allowed Fullerton to really get as fluid of play as they would like to go in the early going.
Yeah, I can see where you're seeing that. Fullerton still, I feel like they've maintained a decent amount of possession on the ball. They seem comfortable moving up the pitch, but LA City does seem, let's say Fullerton's backline is working a little earlier in the game than I'm used to seeing them work.
Here's Kenny, tries to go off the side of his chest, taken away from them. Now down to Angel Hernandez. Hernandez looks for Jay Hernandez, who leads the team in assists, actually tied for the team lead in assists with 2. Intercepted there nicely, deflected away by Evan Yole. On the inside, it goes to the OEC Defensive Player of the Year and Andrew Ariola. Ariola, not only just the OEC Defensive Player of the Year, he was given an all-region and all-state selection as well in the latest awards. Ariola trying to catch up to it along with Yusuf. Kicked out by Ariola. Whole host of subs, and this is where you're going to see a lot of the traditional lineup for LA City College enter. So a lot of guys coming out. Joel Miranda is going to take a seat. He's also going to be joined out there by Denningson Morales. Morales with Jay Hernandez. And we'll get word on who else goes out in a moment. Brandon Bears will also take a seat. And now you're going to see the main attackers coming in for LA City College here in just a moment as Daniel Lopez Rosas and Q Latenchi will also join. So Lopez Rosas will be on the left-hand side. Q Latenchi will be on the right. Mauricio Linez also joins them. Into the air. There's a shot, gets blocked. Another opportunity blocked there as well. Poked away from two and taken over by the Hornets and Steven Martinez.
Well, and then Kenny, not one to be outdone. Looks like he waved on some Hornets. We see some guys getting ready to kind of warm up. So, you know, they moved their pawn to G5, and Kenny's going, no, I'm going to move my rook to Q. I don't know a chessboard that well, Ryan.
I was going to say, I was already impressed with G5. You were saying G5, and I was thinking Battleship. That's as best as I get. As best as I get? See, you know, this is already the issue.
As best as I get.
As best as I get.
This is as best as it get.
28:55 showing on the clock, about 16 and a half gone in this one. Everyone working around inside the box. Tossed up and high, going towards the corner. It's still there for a moment. Ponce is going to catch up to it, but it will be after it crosses the end line. So a corner kick coming up for the Hornets. That is their third of the match already.
And so we've seen them take some corners, Ryan, and they went from early in the season, they were taking the long corner, which everybody in this press box appreciates. They switched to the short corner, which there was some controversy in the press box about, is that worth the take? And it looks like they're going to take another long one.
For the moment being, Joe is spot on as Hector Guevara is the nearest one. He's going to back up. Nope, they go short corner.
Okay.
Little pop-up over towards Marquez at the top of the box. He floats it up into the air. That's going to go right into the arms of Garcia. So you see the set play there for Fullerton. What they try and do is they go Pons going towards the corner kick, short corner, pass it right back to the guy who was taking the corner, goes back up to the top, and then finally it's floated back in towards the middle to whoever is on the attack. This goes into the crowd and goes out.
It's the furthest into the stands the ball's made it all season.
LACC has that go off a leg, and Fullerton will throw it in. So Fullerton College in this one, looking for a chance to move on to round two for the first time in a couple of years. Marquez can't get it past three different guys, triple team there. And Latenchi is the one who gets to the ball, and he's fouled there by Cisco Torres. High kick, left side.
That sounded painful.
Nathan Jaws, you know what? It was a loud clack instead of the traditional thump that you hear. And that's just going to be something that's going to have to be looked at the rest of the night. We talked about it last week on Futbol Fridays. Of course, this being Futbol Fridays, but on a Saturday. So the title is there, but it is a Saturday. But going back to our conversation from last week, the big focus was how difficult is it going to be to manage the ball here tonight as the temperature continues to drop. It's going to get a lot more firm, and it's going to be more difficult to keep it off of a one-touch than it would be in traditional situations like earlier in the season when they played Yavapai, where it was a lot warmer. It was 100 degrees outside as we approach game time. LA City on the approach. They toss it in, intercepted there for a moment by Guevara. Guevara got himself into the honorable mention selections. Actually, excuse me, he was a second-team all-conference member. This is a Fullerton College squad that had a minimum of 9 different guys get honored and selected for all-region, all-state, all-OEC, honorable mentions, everything you can imagine. Fullerton was honored. Third straight conference championship, too.
Well, and as the season goes on.
Into the air there for a second. Foul against Fullerton.
As the season progresses, I mean, we're not done with postseason, so the honors and accolades technically aren't done being handed out yet. Like you said, we have some all-state players We had 2 All-American players this year. Maybe we have some this year as well.
Yeah, now you have the All-State player in Andrew Ariola, who, Joe, as we progressed through the season, it seemed like he just came into his own with each and every preceding match that took place.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've been saying, is it feels like we have had the honor of watching this team mature on the field as the season has gone on, and especially with as many players as this is their freshman outing, it could be a treat if they come back next year to see all these players give it another go.
Here's Giles trying to get to it. Takes it away for a second. Giovanni Sanchez. Now Marquez. Marquez swings it towards the middle. It's actually going to go to Ponce and popped up. All the way back to Max Ron. Ron with the little scooter that goes to Guevara, and Guevara says, hey, let's try and go long for Kenny. Now to Marquez. Marquez tried to settle it down. He wanted to go right off of it. Left side, dribbling. Looking for a teammate. Little drop pass left to Cisco Torres, just in front of Hayden Kenny.
That was some great defending. Unfortunate break for the Hornets, but Hayden Kenny, great play, great vision on the field, and great pass.
And like you said, credit goes to Chris Ferrufino, the 6'3" sophomore out of Downey, who was able to get to that ball and keep in his positioning and took that attack line away from Fullerton College. Near side of the pitch, it's going to be picked up by Angel Hernandez. Hernandez gets bodied off the ball. Possession, or I should say advantage played to LA City. The official comes up and says, all right, Hayden, you know that one was a foul, and it was going to come back either way. And the Cubs will take over.
And again, I'm going to take it back to basketball, something most Americans, people who are not familiar with, as my daughter who's in the press box with us would say, aren't as familiar with the soccer ball game. You take it to basketball, you make that technical foul because somebody's on a breakaway, and you need to slow the momentum. You need to help your guys catch up. It's not like hockey where I'm going to tackle you and then we're going to have a fist fight for 15 minutes.
Well, to be fair, you do get a little timeout for 5. You do go into the fist fight. But yes, I do see your point. As we get up to about 22 and a half gone here in the first 45 of play. No score between LA City and Fullerton College in what we expect to be a very defensively minded night. But LA City says, hey, we hear what you're saying. We're trying to change that. Here's a shot just over top of the goal. That is going to send a shock into Fullerton's back line because that was a broken play that ends up on the foot of Jorge Gomez on the far side. And it was just over top of the frame. Steven Martinez did all he could to make sure he stayed in front of it, but that one was maybe a foot away from making the opening score. Here's Hayden Kenny in a foot race. He gets taken down. No foul call.
I know I'm a little biased here, but you take somebody down like that, especially that close to what we're going to say, the 6-yard box, definitely inside the 18-yard.
And it goes back to that conversation that we had earlier in the season where it's the one we had with Ari. If you remember, we go back to that, all right, what is it? Is it the advantage that you call the whistle on? Do you want everyone to decide the result of this match on the pitch? Or is it something more of a traditional, hey, you know what? If I gave this guy a call, I've got, 5, 10 calls on this one side. I've got to be able to equal it out, maybe not give a call, grant a call when one shouldn't be there. It's all just human nature and how you're going to decide to manage a game. Now, the official so far in this one has been good going back and forth for each side. And we'll see how this one progresses. It was very close as there was a little injury timeout for a second. It's going to be a drop ball, Fullerton College.
But we did see, like you said, broken play, almost a scoring opportunity from the LA City College Cubs. And then Fullerton basically said, anything you can do, I'm going to try and do better. And Hayden Kenny, dangerously close. If he didn't tackle, if he didn't get tripped up, if he could have got his foot on the ball, that was some dangerous territory to be in.
And you can see Fullerton has a very big emphasis on getting Hayden Kenny involved in the early going here. Daniel Lopez Rosas gets that one taken away as he had a great run to start, but now it's going to be booted near side. Fullerton takes it away with Cisco Torres. Cisco has to hurry to get back to it. However, Chris Ferrafino tries to catch up, and he does get body position, and it will be a throw-in going to LA City. Coach Greg Aviles and Coach Kenny Castellanos giving the orders to their squad, trying to make sure that this Hornet squad keeps their shape and also gets the attack going that they would like. They take possession now with Marquez. Marquez, little swinger to that right side, doesn't end up catching a Hornet that they would like to, and it goes to Fernando Avina. Avina now with Garcia. Garcia actually popped that one over to Vianney Martinez. Now Martinez will circle. Here's a shot that goes right in on frame. So 2 shots for LA City College. One over top of the net by Vianney Martinez, and one on goal. Fullerton College has one of their own. Actually, you know what, Joe? I don't think I'd grant them a shot on the one that went on goal. I think that was more a deflection off of 3 different guys.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to every shot you don't take is a shot that you can't score, right? So the bunches of punches, if this was boxing mentality or in, soccer, football, any shot you don't take is a scoring opportunity you're not giving yourself.
The main card on LA City College that we talked about at the beginning of this one. Here's Guevara. He gets pulled from behind. That's going to be a foul every time. But the main thing that we knew about LA City is that they gave up a lot of shots, 135 shots against and 85 for. In this one, you can see they have a very big, I'm going to let this one fly mentality as soon as they get within range of maybe 10 yards of the 18-yard marker.
I mean, you look at both of their goalkeepers, though, Like we said, a little surprise. The starter all season long isn't who started for LA City, but you still do have a brick wall in there named Emilio Garcia that's 6'2".
Left side, Cisco Torres. He's got Max Ron just off his hip, goes over towards 3 different Hornets, and another corner kick for Fullerton College. That's their 4th of the night. 17 and a half gone, or excuse me, I should say 17 and a half left here in this first half of play. Fullerton College and LA City in the second round of the 3C2A state playoffs, Southern California edition. Now, if you're paying attention to the out-of-town scoreboard and looking at the bracket, plain and simple, a lot has happened as Saddleback ends up getting a win earlier today. They end up knocking out one of the top overall seeds in Southern California. Here's a low drive into the air. Hornets with Giovanni Sanchez. Sanchez has it go off his foot and away. But Mount Sac ended up losing to Pasadena City by a final of 4-2. Harper agrees that was a shocking result earlier today. But 4 to Pasadena City, they move on. And they will play the winner of Cuyamaca and Santa Monica, which did have a result that we're just waiting on who ended up getting the win there. San Bernardino Valley lost to Miracosta, which made Miracosta move on to play El Camino, who is number 3 in Southern California, but they end up losing as Miracosta gets a win, and they move on. And then the most surprising one of the night is that Saddleback really was able to go right at Oxnard. They got a win by 2 goals. They move on, so it is now Miracosta taking on Saddleback in the next round, and Pasadena City taking on either Santa Monica or Cuyamaca. 15:50 showing on the clock. Cubs and Hornets tied at 0. Here's Yoel. Back pedal. Now it's Cisco. Left side for Fullerton offensively. They have Giovanni. who is backpedaling himself. This one pops up to Hayden Kenny. Kenny is going to wait for an LA City Cub to catch up to him. It's Ferrufino off of Cisco Torres and out.
You know, that's something that I was at least talking about yesterday. We're starting to see the double teaming of Hayden Kenny, not letting any balls get to him so he can distribute it.
Yeah, and for Hayden Kenny, the other thing is, too, we've mentioned it, he's more of a possession-style guy. As he's going on the attack, he's going to face away from the goal, make sure that he has possession, uses his chest and his hips to be able to establish that, and then doesn't allow the defender to catch up to it. Very similar to a box out that you would see in basketball. Wholesale changes as Abdul Adam enters for LA City. And everyone who started the match for LA City ends up coming back onto the park as Jay Hernandez is out there along with Angel Hernandez as well. Salam Youssef takes over on that far side. Fernando Avina takes a seat, and they are also joined out there by Denningson Morales. Very shift-based and oriented as Fullerton is going to bring on Josias Palacios and Jair Vargas. 14 minutes left in the first half, 30 gone. Here's Kenny on the attack. It's a 4-on-3 if Fullerton can hurry. Hayden, little chipper over towards Nathan Giles. Giles tries to line that one right back to Kenny, and it's intercepted well. Back line of LA City doing work. Guevara, right back over to Nathan Giles. Little hesitation to get past two. Giles goes down the middle and intercepted, taken away by Jorge Gomez.
You know, that kind of goes back to what Mark was saying he wanted to see Fullerton do today. It's basically turn on the gas and run, baby, run. And little more, let's pull a Corey Nayland special out there, a little more get-to-itiveness right there on the attack from Fullerton, and LA City wouldn't have been able to catch up to them. Yeah,
and Fullerton with 2 takeaways in their last 3 minutes that have led to chances. And Fullerton's going to change things up here. They will take off Jacob Pons and Hayden Kenny, and now Josias Palacios will enter, and Jair Vargas will come on for Fullerton. Now, if you're looking at it from my perspective that we had at the pregame show, Jair Vargas actually is my X factor in this one. I think that every time that he gets the ball, he's very dangerous for the Hornets, and it's someone that Fullerton is going to have to rely on and get opportunities off his right foot. Now, Jay Hernandez, who currently has it for LA City, takes a shot that's still going on frame. That one just continued to float towards the high crossbar, and it had a little knuckle effect because initially Martinez comes up to the 6-yard box and says, all right, this is going to go well up over top, and then finally he's able to drop it down and get his hand on it. So a corner kick that will now be delivered by LA City. That is going to be their third, or excuse me, their second. They'll take it from the near side of the park. .11:40 on the clock here in the first half of play. Ball delivered inside. Martinez is going to take over for the Hornets. The entire cast and crew for Hornet Radio is here tonight, including Harper. Cold night here in Fullerton. Lots of protest on the far side of the park, but it is LA City who will get a throw-in. Hornets are going to bring on Kyle Sherman, and they will also add Thomas Gomez, who is one of the leading scorers for this squad. Here's a chance for the Cubs, a shot that is deflected by Ariola right at the end. It will be a corner kick to LA City once more. So 3 corners for the Cubs, and they have another chance here to get the opening marker. Fullerton has to be careful. As we mentioned, Cubs in a very shot-first mentality for the moment being. Jorge Gomez is going to step up and take it. 10.5 left here in the first half of play between Fullerton College and LA City. 10-15. Here's Gomez. Right-footed. Up into the air. He's going far post. It deflects off of 2. Cubs will take it back off the volley. There's a shot, and that doesn't end up going on frame. Kevin Castro, Kyle Sherman, Thomas Gomez, all 3 are going to enter for the Hornets. And it looks like Giovanni Sanchez, Cesar Marquez, and Nathan Giles will exit for Fullerton. As you can hear directly below me, the crowd making noise. Very nice turnout here on hand at Fullerton College for this one tonight. Near side has more than its fair share of a full stand, and on the other side for LA City, they have traveled very well. A very big and warm welcome. Well, maybe not so warm. It's kind of chilly here in Fullerton, but nonetheless, a big welcome to all those watching who are LA City fans watching and supporting your squad. Here's Kyle Sherman. Sherman on the right side of the pitch. Fullerton, 1, 2, 3 touches, and they're up the park with Palacios. Palacios trying to deliver to Gomez, taken away by Salam Youssef. Now Adam is there as well. Jay Hernandez. Both teams playing Pong. Vargas not realizing that there's a guy right behind him in Adam, and Adam takes it away. Vargas trying to catch up to it. That's a foul against Fullerton. 8:40 left. 37 minutes gone in the first half. Evan Yole, right side. Sherman puts on the afterburners but can't catch up to it in time. Now, if you remember last year for Fullerton and Santa Barbara, it was a very quiet time until the early going in the second half. And then all of a sudden, both teams got on the board and they were able to score once more in extra time.
I will say, and this is kind of going off memory a little bit of last year, but I think last year's Hornet team, they got scored on, and you could tell the momentum, the temperament on the field shifted. Misael Gonzalez was kind of their golden foot last year, and I think the pressure on him when they were behind on that scoreline, he felt the extra pressure this year because a goal-scoring shot can come from almost any foot, from almost anywhere. You score on Fullerton, lights a fire into them. They score on you, lights a fire under them.
It has been a very different tale this season because you look at Fullerton, like you said, last year they end up taking a lead, but then Santa Barbara comes back into it. They take advantage and go up 2-1. Fullerton has to get themselves back into it. They get the equalizer. It eventually goes into penalties where Santa Barbara did end up moving on. But you look at this Fullerton team this season, and it just seems like it's no longer the scoring in bunches per se, but it's a very balanced attack, very balanced offense that very often that we have seen here on Futbol Fridays has had an emphasis on scoring whenever they get scored on. It seems like they always have a reply whenever they get a goal conceded.
Yeah, it doesn't. The mental game of this Hornet team seems to be fantastic, and I think that's kind of one of my X factors going into postseason. Fear factor, I don't know. I think I got canceled.
Cisco Torres pops this one up. Nothing nearly as dangerous as what they had to deal with on that show, but nonetheless, both these two teams trying to make sure that they don't end up having their season end tonight. Remember, this is, if you are unfamiliar, this is a winner-take-all playoff format. You win, you move on, you advance in the bracket. In Southern California, if Fullerton should win, they would play the winner of Long Beach City and Cypress. If Cypress wins that matchup, Fullerton would host Cypress later on next week. If Long Beach wins that match, Fullerton will be on the road at Long Beach.
And what a matchup, Brian. That would be their third time facing each other this season. What a matchup if that happens. I think if we look at the score sheet around the 3C2A, I think they're at half right now, knotted up at 0-0.
That's going to be an interesting one because, again, Cypress, like you mentioned, has played Fullerton twice already this season by virtue of being Orange Empire Conference opponents, and it ended up 1-0-1 in favor of Fullerton. But Fullerton just hasn't been able to beat Cypress at home in quite a bit of time. Ball taken away. Hornets get it back with Cisco Torres. They've got to get it to a teammate in Max Ron, and Ron does catch up to it in time. Ron tries to push it to his right. Backspin floater, right side, goes over towards Kyle Sherman where it's cleared away now to Evan Yole. Yole says, you know what, not only am I going to clear this, I'm going to try and find Josias Palacios. He does so. Palacios over towards the corner, swings this one towards the middle. It's deflected away, and Fullerton gets a throw in. Applause from the crowd as they are very happy with that last attempt. And at halftime, with the precipitation starting to fall down, we'll make sure that we get some bags over top of the cameras. They're out the rest of the way. So we can continue to bring this second round playoff matchup that just sees the opening marker go wide. Right past Thomas Gomez, Kenny Castellanos has his head in his hands and just misses getting the opening marker for Fullerton College.
Heartbreak, my name is Fullerton College Men's Soccer.
So we mentioned earlier that the pitch will be a little bit colder, also a lot more slick too. That's going to increase here as we mentioned, we'll call it sprinkling plus. It's like Netflix, but it's just the plus. It's sprinkling, and there's a little bit of precipitation that is starting to fall here. Cisco Torres with the ball. He's going to loop it over towards his left. Now it finds Josias Palacios off his chest and away from Thomas Gomez. Taken away by Kyle Sherman. Quickly go the Hornets, but they are 3-on-5 at the moment. Little liner to Palacios. Palacios off of his left foot takes a shot that goes past Garcia. Just past his left hand, and it will end up being a goal kick. Palacios trying to contend that it goes off of an LA City defender, but he's not going to win that argument. That puts a little bit more energy back into the bench for Fullerton College. .245 left in half number one, as Fullerton and LA City are still scoreless. Both sides trying to get something going here, as Jair Vargas, he is going to take it back. Vargas off to his right. He scoots it now to Kyle Sherman. Sherman with the liner looking for Palacios, but that's over top of him, and it will find its way right back over to Emilio Garcia. Garcia, one game played, the 23 minutes total. He faced 2 shots and saved them both. Here's Ariola. On the swing back, goes now to Cisco Torres. He tries to keep it in. Now Angel Hernandez. Now with Q Latenshi. Latenshi. To his right, Ariola says, hey, I'm going to watch this one go right towards the end line. He's got to keep it in, though. Goes off of a Hornet and finally checked back to the Cubs. Latenshi to the middle of the park where it will go to Martinez. Vianney Martinez still fighting for it. He's got a chance to get back to it before it gets to the touchline, and he's going to let that one go out. So under 120 left in the first half of play. Clock is stopped for a moment as we go towards the additional time frames.
And what an attacking run in the last, let's just call it the last 2 minutes of play, as the OEC2 was put on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and by what Joe means by that is on the scoreboard, they put 2 minutes left, and only the officials and those on the field know how much time is in additional.
You know, we should rebrand it OEC Mystery Time.
Oh, there we go. Chance down the middle. Another opportunity for Gomez, and he flies that one up. Does it get deflected? They say it does not. It goes straight off of his foot as Jorge Gomez tried to get that one off the broken play, and Fullerton will have to retrieve it. Cold, slightly rainy, and yet both these two teams making sure that they get their runs in.
I mean, it's important when it's cold. Sometimes you just have to go take a run, Ryan.
You do, sometimes.
Whether it's on the soccer pitch, around a softball field.
Here's Cisco. That one goes out. Throwing Fullerton College. This should be the last attack for the first half of play. It's actually going to be a foul.
So you think they're just going to let the advantage play out and then call the whistle?
I do indeed, because I don't think there was very much to go for stoppage time. As Vargas will take it. Hornets drop it back now to Max Ron. Ron back to Vargas. Now to Palacios. Palacios wants to move to his left foot. Palacios still with it for a second, pokes it out to Cisco. Cisco, little liner deflected off of a guy, and it will go now to Emilio Garcia. Official checks his watch. He's going to let this one play off to the left, so I was wrong. And that goes to LA City. The Cubs now with it, trying to move forward. No foul there, and that's going to be a throw-in. Official looks at his watch, puts his arm in the air. That's 45. So the first half of play between Fullerton College and LA City College goes as a no score between both sides, and Fullerton and LA City had their chances. Both teams very close to getting an opening score, but nothing doing for either side. Now, if you're looking at it from a Fullerton perspective, Joe, of course, you want to get on the board first, but if you're Fullerton, you're more okay with the fact that this is still scoreless. On the other side for LA City, they've been very comfortable, allowing for their opponents to attack more, but if you're LA City, you need that opening marker.
Well, and if you're either team, first half no score, okay, that's all right. But we need to put some results on the board going into the second half, or else we're going to see penalty kicks decide who progresses on in this tournament, let's say, tournament for state. On
Tournament,
the road
playoff
to state.
format?
Yeah.
Yeah, Southern California has been put into complete turmoil and chaos, if you will.
Because the rain?
Well, not only the rain, but also the results around the 3C2A, as I'll very quickly get to that before we step aside for our halftime. You take a look at the state of California. We mentioned a few moments ago that Southern California has been completely changed based off of some of these results from the early going. You have El Camino, one of the number one seeds, or not number one seeds, but one of the top seeds who gets a bye. They end up losing their first round matchup, or technically second round, but their first round matchup, to Miracosta by a score of 1-0. Miracosta got on the board in the early going, and El Camino just wasn't able to get an equalizer. Norco gets a win just barely over top of Chaffee. They had to get one late in the second half. They get a 1-0 victory over top of Chaffee. But Saddleback 3-2 over Oxnard with a late one, as the Saddleback Bobcats get a win over one of the favorites across the state of California. In fact, Jason Starks, who we saw here at Hal Sherbeck Field, ended up getting the game winner with just 2.5 minutes left in that one, and it allowed for Saddleback to get a winner over Oxnard, and that eliminates one of the best teams in the state. They got a state championship just 3 years ago. They have continued to be good the entire way. Santa Rosa up north, an upset there as Hartnell ends up with a goal in the first half, the first 13 minutes of play, and Santa Rosa finds themselves out of the state tournament. Back here in Southern California, Santa Barbara almost had Cerritos, but the Cerritos Falcons get a 1-0 win there. Staying in Southern California, still awaiting the score of Santa Monica and Cuyamaca. But if you stay in Southern California, Pasadena City and Mount Sac, it is Pasadena City 4, Mount Sac 2, a final there. 2 goals in each half for Pasadena City College, allowing for them to take a 4-2 win. Now, Cypress and Long Beach, like Joe mentioned, they are at the half. It is Cypress 0 and Long Beach 0. We are also watching that one because the winner of that game will either host or be hosted by Fullerton College or LA City, depending on what takes place here and what takes place over there. If Fullerton wins this matchup and Long Beach wins their matchup, Fullerton will be at Long Beach. And in fact, if either team ends up winning this game and Long Beach wins, it will be LA City or Fullerton at Long Beach. If Cypress wins, it will be Fullerton College if they end up winning, hosting. And if LA City wins, LA City would host Cyprus. So the way it works out, Long Beach wins, the winner of this game goes to Long Beach. Cyprus wins, the winner of this game will host Cyprus next week. So we will step aside for a little bit, but when we come back, we'll have some more halftime stuff for you and some stats as we get set for the second 45 of play between Fullerton College and LA City. You are watching the 3C2A second round of the Southern California playoffs here on Hornet Radio. It's No Score. And we welcome you back to Football Fridays, but on a Saturday. It's the 3C2A playoffs here on Hornet Radio as we get set for the second half of play. We're going to get more stats and updates as we go along. For the moment being, we can give you Fullerton's lineup to this point as they come back out onto the field with Josias Palacios, Hayden Kenny, in addition to Cesar Marquez, and they are also joined by Jair Vargas, who will get the start in the second 45 of play. Back line of Max Ron, Andrew Ariola, in addition to Evan Yole and Kyle Sherman. And, of course, in goal is Steven Martinez. The other side, it is the main attacking group for this LA City squad. Actually, excuse me, it's going to be the flip side of things. So the main attacking group, those main five that we talked about earlier, are going to take a seat to start off the second half of play. And it's going to be this second five as they will be joined, or I should say led by Salam Yusuf. We are underway here in the second half of play as this one is kicked away, and the Hornets try and move this forward. Jair Vargas with Cesar Marquez. A lot more precipitation, more of a sprinkle. Now with Marquez. He's got it once more, scoots it to his right, goes off his backfield and away. Just underway, second 45. No score between Fullerton and LA City. Fullerton College trying to move on to the second round for the first time since 2022. And we're not going to act like that's a very long time. This team, just last year got a bye into the second round of play, and then all of a sudden we're bounced by Santa Barbara. But the previous year they had actually made it past a couple of rounds and into the third. So if this is an indication for Fullerton College, you have a bunch of Fullerton College Hornets who have had a lot of experience watching the playoffs, being in the playoffs as well, and now get an opportunity to help their squad try and go forward. Fullerton College will start things off. Well, initially, we thought was going to be a lot more defensive. We've seen both these two teams basically just go out and go full sail attack. Left side, it goes to Rosas, and Rosas gets that one taken away from him and cleared away. 43-10 on the clock. Both these two teams getting the ball and trying to dry it off as much as they possibly can. As we mentioned, that precipitation, just a shade over a sprinkle, but it's causing both these two teams to have a lot of trouble controlling the ball in the early going. Early 90 seconds of play at least here. Ball right down the middle. Gomez trying to catch up to it. It will be taken back by the Cubs. Little floater right side thanks to Joel Miranda. Miranda over to Latenshi. And Latenshi is going to see this one go out. And it's a goal kick. 43-20, or I should say 42-20 on the clock. Hornets and Cubs here in the second half of play. Ball placed down. Cubs enter this one, having lost 4 of their last 7 overall, with losses to Mount Sac, Cerritos, Long Beach, and Pasadena City College. But the biggest emphasis is, like we talked about earlier in the opening rounds, Fullerton College, or excuse me, I should say LA City College, of their SCC tournament, got themselves a couple of wins. One on PKs, one thanks to a 2-1 victory over top of Mount Sac. Got them to second place in their conference tournament. 41-40 showing on the clock as the throw-in comes up. Coming in to toss it will be Kyle Sherman. Lots of speed on the attack for Sherman. He's got Evan Yole over to his left. He's not going to toss it that way. Down the middle it goes. Corner kick coming up Fullerton. So they get their first corner of the second half. They have 5 to their credit. Now 41 on the clock. Again, you look at Fullerton, and so far this season, they've been excellent when the opposing team ends up getting the opening marker. But LA City College is very comfortable playing with the other side, pouring a lot of shots on. Low driven corner right down the middle of the park, deflects off of one, and finally cleared away. Salam Youssef trying to catch up to it. He does end up getting possession over Evan Yole, but Yole is able to recover and kick this one out.
Evan Yole able to just keep his body in the way despite getting shoved and all that other physicality. Just stay pace with the person and not let him take an advantageous position and make it even more advantageous.
Yeah, and for Yole, he's been doing that all season long. You got to talk to him earlier. He's very silent type player on the field. You won't really notice him until he's making a nice defensive play exactly like that. Jair Vargas now to Cesar Marquez. Marquez gets that one slid away from him. And again, that precipitation taking a lot of the control away from both squads. We saw two different guys, one from either side, who just weren't able to stop the ball the way that they would like.
Well, and that a little bit felt like, okay, you're going to take my legs out from under me, so I'm just going to lay here for a little bit, buddy. Thanks.
Other side, Fullerton College on the run, not able to catch up to it in time. 39:30 on the clock. Now, and Joe, you look at this Fullerton College squad now trying to attack on the left-hand side. They've got Palacios looking over towards the middle. Make that Hayden Kenny, who takes a shot, and it goes on frame. There's the one that Joe's been asking for quite a while. Hayden Kenny gets his first attempt on goal, and it does end up staying on goal, and Emilio Garcia makes the save.
I'm just a fan of that Guns N' Roses song, Ryan. I'm good with the shots, even if they're knocking on heaven's door.
I understood this reference. Poked out, and it will be a foul, I believe, against LA City. Little warning on the far side of the park. Not too much to that.
I mean, it's never fun when Dad has to come and talk to you, though.
You know what? It is interesting. I was reading an article the other day about players and when they do get spoken to by officials and just the interactions that take place, whether you're trying to gain an advantage or if you're trying to, play down a warning. It's an aspect of the game that not a lot of people realize, but it has a lot of effect. It's why a lot of different guys are named captain, whether it be on the pitch, on the court, on the ice, or in the field. A lot of different guys react to warnings differently from officials, and it takes a lot of the advantage to or away from a team. Here's Guevara off his head. He's able to get it over to Ponce. Nice pass there. Ponce chasing back for it.
So no heavy rain, but during the halftime, it certainly missed it. I wouldn't call it a drizzle. It's like I kind of heard you mentioning earlier, Ryan. The turf's a little wet. The ball's picking up moisture. So there's going to be that extra X factor to the ball when you make a touch, right? If you don't make solid contact, does it kind of glance off your foot? If you don't send the pass perfectly, does it take a weird bounce or a weird slip on the slippery turf? Because, well, it ain't real grass, Ryan.
No, and right while you were saying that, Fullerton College loses possession because of the ball bouncing and taking a weird hop due to the slickness of the artificial turf here at Fullerton College. Now remember, if you are a Fullerton College fan, or maybe you're an LA City fan tuning in, you're not really familiar with Hal Sherbeck Field. Back in the day, this was an all-grass field going up until about 2013. They put in a brand new, at the time, not AstroTurf, but artificial turf. Thank you. And that was the green turf field that they had here for a little over a decade. And then most recently, last year specifically, last August, this got worked on and everything changed. And Fullerton College spent about a year making sure that this field was right for their student athletes. Scooted away. There's the control that we were talking about. And it goes out, and LA City is going to have to see this one be a throw-in very deep in Fullerton's defensive third. But the brand new carpet that you see out here that these student athletes are playing on was worked on for nearly a year and a half or so. And the colors were chosen by all of the different coaches and the athletic administration as well, trying to make sure that it gave the Fullerton College Hornets an identity and also stayed true to their athletic colors and what has traditionally been a Fullerton College color palette.
Well, and to tell the full story, Ryan, as we're waiting for this toss-in, the old green turf that they had for many years was basically a practice field, and then we got this glow-up at Hal Sherbeck Field, and they made the field, not that it wasn't game day ready before, but if we're going to say the sports psychology of it, the I'm proud that this is my home fieldness of all of this, it got its glow-up. And then here you see the blue, the gold, the yellow, the light and the dark brown, gray. I almost said brown, Ryan. The light and dark I give up.
No, but you mentioned that. I mean, Fullerton College, when this came out, very stunning. It still is. Lots of bright, vibrant colors to it. You see the Swarm City on the near side of the pitch. You also see the soccer markings as well, the football markings, gridiron football markings too. And it gave the Fullerton College men's squad a new home too, because you mentioned that it was opened and the student athletes now have a chance to practice here, but they now also play here. Obviously, with us being on the air here at Hal Sherbeck Field, that's the case. But prior to this, Fullerton College played their last 40 years on the Fullerton College soccer field directly over our right shoulder, which, of course, after 40 years of continuous use, as per usual, there's a foul in the middle of the park. Just like every other field across Southern California, it starts to take its own beatings. It starts to wear in certain places, and whether or not you have the choice to be able to renovate, you can renovate as much as you want. But if a field is used continuously for long enough, it starts to, need a little bit of love and care. That's exactly what it got. And now, with the Fullerton College men's soccer program over here at Hal Sherbeck Field, you go back, you look at the carpet over there on the old turf or the old field, and where the women's soccer programs play, or where the women's program currently plays, and now it feels like it's a little bit more love too, because there's not as much wear to it.
Right, and this being an artificial field, as LA City College had a run in it, but unlucky. They just weren't able to catch up with that ball. Unfortunate thing with artificial turf, when it does get some wear, you can't just reseed it, which is why sometimes you need to dress it up a little bit. There's only so far that maintenance can take you, right?
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. And to that point, that's why a lot of fields also have to be dragged too, so that way you can even out the pellets, make sure that everything's wearing evenly at the same time. Because, of course, Fullerton College, if you are new to this program or you're tuning in for the first time, Fullerton, as you would expect, looking at this field, has a gridiron football program that practices and plays their home games here. Here's a chance on the right-hand side. Palacios is trying to get to it. He gets boxed out there very nicely by Salam Youssef. Or excuse me, it's Luis Juarez. Here's Palacios. He gets it back. He scoots back into the inside. High floater looking for Kenny. That's going to be over top of him. And will it be enough for Pons to catch up to it? He does, but it goes off his back heel and out.
And you might be wondering, again, if you're new to the broadcast, this doesn't sound like them talking about football. Welcome to Football Fridays, but on a Saturday. This is how we do our broadcast here. And if you're wondering, how do these guys know so much about the field? Well, when it was getting renovated, we couldn't stay away. We talked to as many people that could stand to talk to us, which is why we will not be bringing you a 73-part on artificial turf maintenance. That got killed, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Your hearts are, I'm sure, broken. It was a great series. I had 70 out of the 73 parts planned out, though.
You know what? And 65 of those were Mark's monologues. When you look at this field, like Joe mentioned, we were given the opportunity to tour the field very early on. We like to call ourselves the first outside entity, if you will, other than the athletic department, to actually take a walk on this turf. As Jair Vargas gets up to it, he gets taken down, but no call coming. Lots of light contact, not enough for a foul there. Here's Kyle Sherman. He tries to line it to the middle, deflected away from two, and the Cubs will take it back. Now a chance for Brendan Byers.
Yeah, there's been a lot of contact in this game tonight, and I'm wondering if the officials are just kind of taking into account the turf is slick. The players might be slipping and sliding on the turf, And so, like you said, Ryan, some light contact, but we're seeing some spills. And are the officials taking into account that, like, that probably wasn't substantial enough to make me call a larger foul or want to reach into my pocket?
No, I think that's absolutely correct, because you look at the official, and he took an extra long look at that. You could see him consider exactly what took place, but he doesn't end up awarding anything there. There's Jair Vargas. Vargas looking to his right foot, tries to lay it for Kenny. It deflects off of a Cub. The other way, LA City is going to take it back. Bears off to his right, and he's going to lay it over towards Jay Hernandez, but instead Hernandez sees that go all the way out, and Max Ron will throw it in quickly. High pressure for LA City. Near side of the park, Fullerton trying to catch up to it. Kyle Sherman wasn't able to get there in time. Now he's going to pressure and gets it scooted past him. Slid away front by Evan Yole.
The home side, as well as Greg and Kenny, coming alive on this second half.
Yeah, and I think for Greg, you're looking at both he and Kenny trying to get these guys to push up just a little bit more. Fullerton thrives in a lot of high-pressure opportunities, not necessarily in game situation, while that has been the case for Hayden Kenny, who sees that one just fly by his head.
That was half a step too slow, or did that just glance off of his head? He didn't make substantial enough contact.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think the pass was there and the run was there, but he takes the run a step too early. If he takes that run one step later, it's right on his head. So he tries to readjust to it as he's in the air, just not able to do so. The pass is perfect. Plain and simple, that was around two different defenders, and the Hornets had their chance for the opening marker, and Hayden Kenny is going to take a seat after that one. Bones will actually join him, and Brandon Acevedo, who usually plays midfield and back, is going to be on the attack for this one coming up. Cesar Marquez re-enters for Fullerton as well. So an excellent chance there. Cesar Marquez, or excuse me, I should say Hayden Kenny, almost opening things for the Hornets.
So you're saying a little of A, a little of B, and I'm just going to go and sit here on the fence right here.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's
okay.
You know what? I'll call it a little of A, a little of B, and it makes the recipe just fine.
But are there cranberries in the recipe?
Hopefully not. Because that's the thing. If we had ended up doing the initial Thanksgiving plan that we had initially thought of for Hornet Radio, it was going to be a content piece on the best Thanksgiving meals and adages, but cranberry sauce should not be one of them. That is one of the worst parts of Thanksgiving. Here's a chance for Fullerton, who's trying to add gravy onto this one, just not able to connect on it. Here's Jair Vargas. That was for Mark Pavlovich, by the way. Here's Vargas, left side, tries to scoot it to Acevedo. Acevedo, between two, deflects away, and off the side heel, it goes back towards Arriola. Arriola with 28 minutes left on the clock. Cubs and Hornets deadlocked at 0. Here's Nathan Giles. Giles off to his right, had the nice pass earlier, deflects away. Here's Cesar Marquez. Can he catch up to it? He does. He scoots it into the corner. Catches up to it once more. He's shading towards the middle. He's got a chance for Acevedo, and it goes now to Jair Vargas. Vargas on the turn. Now with Max Ron. Ron, nice hesitation to get past two. Vargas works into traffic. Marquez. Marquez takes a shot on frame. Garcia's there, gives up the rebound for a second.
You've got to pick up the trash, Ryan.
Acevedo was there, but I think he kind of assumed that that ball was going to be picked up by Emilio Garcia, and Garcia just not able to handle it as cleanly as he would like as it slipped away from him.
It's a lot of things you can say about assumptions, Ryan.
That is very true, as this is Marquez who slips it to Acevedo. Let's go Fullerton, the call from the parents, fans, and supporters of Fullerton College on the near side of the park. If you are an LA City fan, you are watching this one going, okay, now we're starting to see a lot more of what what the Cubs are used to, as there's some contact between Garcia and Palacios, but no call coming. If you're an LA City fan, going back to that thought, you're very used to seeing this where the other team is on the attack, but they thrive in those one-goal matches, those very even opportunities where they capitalize towards the end. Just go back to that matchup that they had against Mount Sac. They had a game winner late in that one in the final 5 minutes of play, actually the final 2.5 minutes of play. And they also got a game winner in extra time in their last matchup prior to the Long Beach game. Jair Vargas takes a seat, talks with Kenny Castellanos. Hayden Kenny gives him a high five and says, all right, we're going to keep it going here. Couple of substitutions in for Fullerton as Giovanni Sanchez will enter along with Juan Luis Quintana. Here's Nathan Giles. Giles still with it for a second, but he's going to have to go and retrieve it off to the right across the touchline.
Fleet of foot as he avoided 2 sliding tackles there, Ryan. Or is it fleet of feet?
No, you got it.
Okay.
Fleet of foot. That would work.
Great strength of feet? Or is it a great feat of strength?
I was going to say a feat of feet. High toss in, down towards the middle. It's still inside the box. A chance now. Here's a shot by Juan Luis Quintana. Make that Thomas Gomez. Actually, excuse me, that's Kevin Castro. Here is Marquez down the middle of the park. He was looking for a deflection there by Juan Luis Quintana, and Quintana will have to watch on as it's taken away by Garcia.
They're knocking on the door, and I'm here for it, Ryan. But it feels like every time they're knocking on the door, they're sending it straight to the arms of the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to get is a lot more of that inside play inside the 6-yard box, but they're just not connecting on it. But if you're looking at it from LA City's side, you're thinking to yourself, we're weathering the storm, just waiting, waiting, and waiting until we get our opportunity. And they have done well so far. Not saying that this was entering this matchup a very, we'll say, lopsided affair in terms of favorites, because you're looking at the number 8 versus number 9 teams, right? You're looking at 2 very evenly matched opponents. But LA City has a very unique style of play that they are comfortable with defensively, and they usually just wait for their chance, wait for their perfect opportunity. They are doing exactly that. Now, the pace is more in favor of what Fullerton College would like. It's a high, fast, pace-type game where Fullerton is able to run as much as they can and use that balanced attack. But the issue for Fullerton, they're not connecting on the passes that they need to. On the other side, the issue for LA City is they're not getting past midfield with possession.
And then with, what are we going to say, 57 minutes played? So 23 and change left on the clock. Best case scenario, or worst case scenario, I guess we're seeing 23 minutes more of play and then some. And if no decision there, then we're letting PKs write the ending of the story, correct?
So it would be the 90 of regulation as that one goes off of Quintana. But the 90 of regulation followed by 2 15-minute extra time halves and then PKs. It is not a golden goal, so that's the difference between the CCCAA, or I should say the 3C2A, and the NJCAA, if you have been keeping along with the NJCAA as well, as Quintana tries to catch up to that one, but it gets away from him. Scooted away nicely over to Luis Juarez.
Nice boot scooting.
To Joshua Rivera. Now checked down to Fernando Avina. Avina taken down from behind by Giovanni Sanchez.
That didn't look as substantial as it was.
It didn't look so, but I think what it does is it takes away the advantage from LA City. So it's not necessarily as much about the type of contact as it was taking away the clear chance. And in that case, Giovanni Sanchez will get called for it almost 9 times out of 10. But also going back to what we were mentioning with the extra time, it's 15 minutes from the extra 90. So it goes from 90 to 105 and then 106 to 120. If no score or it remains deadlocked, then you go to PKs. That's what we saw against Santa Barbara last year. Swung up into the air. Martinez is going to let this one fly. Walks it right to the post, maintains his possession right at the post, and is able to let that one go away. No more falling precipitation at the moment in Fullerton. But for the time being, these two teams still trying to figure out how to continue with the effects of it.
Yeah, we just saw one of the casualties of the moisture on the field.
On the right. Now it goes and scoots over to Daniel Rosas. Rosas getting past Ariola for a second. He's still got it. It is the top scorer for LACC, taking on the Defensive Player of the Year for the Orange Empire Conference. And now you're going to get a host of substitutions, a line change, if you will, for LA City. Both these two teams with good chances on both sides, but neither of them have been able to convert the way that they would like to. Substitution in for Fullerton. Kyle Sherman will enter. Juan Luis Quintana will take a seat. Taking a seat on the far side of the park will be Fernando Avina and also Joshua Rivera. So full attack coming up here for the LA City College Cubs.
We have to wait for the boys to be done with soccer ball, and then we'll go home, baby.
20 minutes left in regulation, 69 and a half gone. Gomez to step up to it. Arm in the air, swings it with his right foot down the middle of the frame. Arreola is there, as he has been for Fullerton. Foul inside, and the Hornets are going to take over. Let's go Fullerton, the call from the Fullerton College bench. As the Fullerton College Hornets playing here at Hal Sherbeck Field. See this one swung over towards Kyle Sherman, who's taking a place towards the top of the Fullerton College lineup. A different spot than we have seen him all season long. Hornets take it away. Now with Marquez. He drops it back. Marquez, first team all OEC selection with Kevin Castro. Castro down the right side now to Nathan Giles. He's trying to catch up to it, swings it towards the middle, gets away from one, and the Cubs will take over. Interception there by Vianney Martinez.
Great positioning.
Yeah, and you're looking at it from LACC's perspective, Joe. Their defensive back line, like you were talking about in that first half, has been spectacular tonight.
Yes, it has. And you know what else is spectacular? This home side. They're coming alive. I don't think we've hit volumes of this since it was, let's say, the Cyprus game.
Yeah, no, the Cyprus game had very similar attendance. This side is full, especially over to our left. In fact, 8 of the guys who were on the team last year are currently in attendance over to our left as well. Guys like Angel Sevillano are over there, in addition to Misael Gonzalez as well. So they're all out here in attendance supporting their former teammates and also the program as well. 18:30 on the clock. Here's Max Ron. High floater, a chance for the Hornets still inside. Here's Yol, just to the right.
Mark was almost right.
I was about to say, if he had scored there, we would not have heard the end of it from Mark Pavlovich, who said that Evan Yol is going to be the guy to get the marker for Fullerton to get them a win. Now taking a seat here will be Hector Guevara, also Kyle Sherman as well, and Nathan Giles. Juan Luis Quintana, joined by Cisco Torres, will hop on.
So you were talking as you were doing the 3C2A kind of roundup as we went into the half, Ryan. Some upsets, some of the upsets from the teams that had the first bye week. And that's kind of where you have the good and the bad of that bye week, right? The good, you get a little vacation, you get a break. The bad, you've got a vacation.
Yeah.
You don't stay hot. You're not consistently playing. Somebody else has an extra match of experience that you don't have.
Especially, there's another surprising result. I'll get to that in just a minute. But exactly what you're talking about, you end up seeing yourself not play on a normal match day for the first time in nearly 2 months. Here's a chance for Sherman, a liner just to the right. And he has the right thought process, I think, going the rest of this way. If you're going to score, it's going to be on a low line drive that skips off the floor. 1-0 Long Beach. That's the current score there as they are coming out of halftime. But the surprising score, Santa Monica loses to Cuyamaca. So all 4 bye week seeds have lost on the right side of the bracket.
As some would say, Ryan, big oof.
Yes, indeed. On the other side of a piece of artwork that we have here tonight, you take a look at Long Beach City. They currently have a lead. Fullerton College deadlocked at 0. Cerritos and Santa Barbara. Cerritos got a 1-0 win, and Norco stays alive as well. Here's a chance for LA City College. That one's cleared away. So everyone top seed-wise, for the moment being, is in a safe spot, we'll say, on the left side of the bracket. On the right side of the bracket, Mount Sac, gone, thanks to Pasadena City College. Santa Monica, gone, thanks to Cuyamaca. El Camino, gone, thanks to Miracosta. And Saddleback takes care of Oxnard as well. All 4 teams who got a bye week on the right side of the bracket have now been eliminated.
And it looks like we've got, what is that, Hayden Kenny and
Jair Vargas
getting ready to check back in. I think we found the other half of Hayden Kenny's Bash brother. Unfortunately, it's my 2.5-year-old brutalizing our listener from Pasadena, my sister, out here in the press box.
Ball towards the right. It's still inside. Clanged away for a second. Now Ferrofino, little dropper, skips along. Here's a shot that goes up and high. Will go too far out and away for anyone else to get possession of it. So that was just kind of a broken play that ended up being to the advantage of the Cubs. But now you're looking at it from Fullerton's perspective saying, hey, we're still trying to be on the attack, but LA City College has had a couple of good chances in the last 10 minutes of play. Deflected off of Fullerton College. Entering for LA City, Jonathan Molina. He watches on. Left side, it is Martinez, joined by Salam Yusuf. In addition to Molina, as we just mentioned, also joined out there by Joshua Rivera, Hugh Talenci, and Daniel Rosas. Here's Martinez. High pop. To the right. Spun over. Steven Martinez makes the catch. 14 minutes left in the second half of play, regulation-wise. High up now to Quintana. Quintana drops it down to himself. The Hornets, broken play, but it gets over to Giovanni Sanchez. He lines this one off the foot of Luis Suarez, and it goes out. Kyle Sherman says, hey, Giovanni, go ahead and go inside the box, because this is going to be a deep toss-in for the Hornets. 13.5 remaining in the regulation 90. Sherman.
Barrage. Bombardment by Sherman.
He's going to toss it in. He's second best in the lineup in terms of throw-ins. Lots of spin on that one. Still inside the box. Clanging around there for the Hornets for a second. They try and get it to Yole, who goes off the volley and gets underneath it. So twice we have seen Evan Yole be close, but he just gets underneath that ball.
Did Mark talk to him before the game?
You know, we haven't seen him be on the attack all too much throughout the season. And then, like you said, Mark Pavlovich mentions him in a pregame, and all of a sudden he turns into a guy who is very attack-focused.
Well, again, you've got 12-ish minutes of regulation left, plus whatever the OEC mystery and or stoppage time is. And let's be honest, Ryan, you want to end this in either that, if it goes to extra time, you want to end it in that first or second round of extra minutes, as we had, I think, a slip on the field due to the perspiration that has occurred earlier in the evening. But you don't want to go to penalties. I don't know why I said it like that either. It's all right. I think I had a stroke on the air.
I want to know why it was perspiration, not precipitation.
Like I said, I had a stroke on the air. So anybody, you don't want to see it go to penalties, right? Because there's certain uncertaintiness of it, who does Lady Luck favor tonight? Yes, there's skill, but I'm going to go to Mark and say, especially when you go to PKs, yes, skill's important, but you need that little bit of luck.
You do. As Sherman is going to throw this one in right down the middle of the frame. It goes to Jair Vargas. Cisco Torres, little check down back to Kyle Sherman. Sherman looking for Ponce. Ponce gets it down, looking for a chance. High hopper, it's in! It's in! Cesar Marquez has opened the scoring for Fullerton College by way of Jacob Ponce and Kyle Sherman. It's 1-0 Fullerton College Hornets. "11 minutes left in 90, and Fullerton has gotten on the board. The way that one broke down is they got that ball inside. It clears over to the right initially to Evan Yole at the top of the 18-yard box. He slows it down over to Kyle Sherman. Sherman allows for everyone to vacate the inside of the 6-yard box, and once they do, it creates enough space for him to loop it over top to Jacob Ponce. Ponce on the right side of the box just heads it over top of Hayden Kenny, who says, I'm not going to go in for this one. I'm going to let the guy directly behind me get a chance for it, and it ends up as a goal for Cesar Marquez. Marquez has it hit the bottom of his foot. It hits the spikes, hits the floor, pops up over top of the goal, and it will be in the net. Fullerton College won. So Marquez ends up getting the goal. Cesar Marquez gets the goal. Assist goes to Kyle Sherman. Kyle Sherman gets the assist in the 73rd. Thank you, Joseph Pavlenko. Actually, I believe that would be in the 79th. Yeah, either way, that works.
Listen, I forgot my abacus today.
Fair enough. And it was quite the exciting one, too, because you felt everyone on edge waiting for that second hop, because it hits the floor initially, Joe, and it's like looking at your reaction, looking at Becky's reaction, and being able to watch both of you look at that ball and almost go up in the air with it and see it land in the net. Fullerton College 1, LA City 0. Now, if you're LA City, the way that you get yourself back into this game is the ball has to be on the foot of your top 2 goal scorers. Plain and simple, you have to have Daniel Rosas and Q Latenshi both get the ball. They are excellent on the attack. You look at Rosas, 8 goals, 16 points. He leads your squad. On the other side for Q Latenshi, he has 5 goals and 2 assists for 12 points. He is tied for first in assists, and he is second on the team in goals.
And this is what Mark and I were talking about, Ryan. They score on the Hornets, they score on you. They've kicked it from 5th to 6th gear all of a sudden, it appears.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Fullerton College, just as you mentioned, back on the attack right after getting the opening marker. The Fullerton College crowd is into it. The bench for Fullerton is into it as well.
And on that bounce, like you said, Ryan, the stadium held their breath, and there was a collective gasp that happened before the celebration.
Yeah, it just felt like everyone went in the air along with the ball. That's going to go off Fullerton College, off of a Fullerton College Hornet. And with 7:45 left to go in the first 90, it is 1-0 Fullerton College. LA City has the attack to be able to get into this. If you are a Cubs fan, you will watch in anticipation because you have an attacking line that can do this. Now, Q Latenshi is walking off to our right-hand side. He ends up, I believe, getting subbed off here for the moment being. If you're a Cub fan, you need for your squad to get into the attacking third a lot more than has taken place in the last 15 minutes of play. Here's a chance over top of Steven Martinez. He loses it for a second and regains possession. He misjudged the initial hop but was able to recover in time.
That was insane, Ryan. Off his fingertips, he had a turnaround scramble and then crawled and covered up the ball as that was a shoulder check.
Yeah, a little bit of physical play on the backside of it. But like you mentioned, Joe, he kind of misjudged the initial bounce on it, and he came up in front of it. Very similar to how a shortstop, if they lose the ball for a second on the on hop, is going to come in on the ball and misjudge it and get caught handcuffed. Similar here for Martinez. He thinks that that ball isn't going to hop as high as it does, so he comes in on the short hop, goes over top of him, but the athlete that he is, he's able to get back to it in time. Latenshi walking back over towards the bench for LA City College, but they have the ball and looking to attack. Dennington Morales. Now with Salam Youssef. Youssef is going to see this one turned over to Kyle Sherman. Sherman left-footed. Now to Giovanni Sanchez. Sherman on the takeaway. Sherman looking for a teammate to get it up to. Advantage to Fullerton College as they get it back. Along the touchline, finally goes out, and LA City will control. You can hear the Let's Go Fullerton chants by the bench, by the supporters, the family members as well, all here watching on. Former Fullerton College Hornets as well. Hayden Kenny gets taken down. No call coming. Not enough contact there for a call.
Well, and that's a rare occasion that you see Hayden Kenny go up and physically get outmatch somebody. I think wet floors.
I think, honestly, Joe, I think Junior Vasquez. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that Junior Vasquez actually outpositioned him. He got to the spot where the ball was going to be just before Hayden Kenny was able to get there. There's a foul against LA City, and it will be called as such. Rain starting to fall here in Fullerton as we get to the final stages of regulation. Now remember, again, if you are a Cubs supporter, family member, friend who is watching on and thinking,
enemy,
anything, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, you know what, it's too late for something to happen. That is not the case with this LA City squad. Reminder, they beat Mount Sac in the 90th minute. They ended up having 4 different games in the last 5 weeks of play where they scored with less than 4 minutes left to play in a game.
This is almost like, let's say, the Fullerton College Hornet squad. This is almost their comic book villain, right? You have Superman, and then you have Bizarro, who is basically the opposite of Superman, but similar in him to every way. That's basically what it seems like LA City College is to this Hornet squad. Defensively oriented. The only thing that they really differ on is how their goals throughout the season are spread out across their players. But both these teams have had game-deciding finishes, like you were saying, Ryan, in the final moments, seconds, or plays of their games during the season.
And it gives a lot of confidence to both these two squads. Left-hand side, bench is really getting into it for Fullerton College. But if you're LA City, you have a lot of confidence in what you're able to do at the end of this match because of exactly that. You know that you have had your chances and converted on it with very little time left. So you're not exactly looking at this going, okay, we've run out of time. You're looking at it from a perspective of all we need is one chance. Give us one good opportunity to look on goal, and we can convert on this.
Right. You may look at this and go, three minutes or less, that's not a lot of time, and they'll look at this and go, that's plenty of time to do something, baby.
No, you're very right, Joe. When you look at it, especially from LA City, they have a couple of late goals. In fact, their Mount Sac matchup, Daniel Lopez Rosas and Q Latenshi got goals in that one, and Latenshi actually got the game winner with 90 seconds left in that one. So that was just a week and a half ago against Mount Sac. They are very capable of doing exactly the same thing here. Fullerton's defensive side has to appear a little bit more. Slid away, Palacios. Not enough on it to be a foul.
Well, and unfortunately, you take that slide tackle, you go a little more for the legs and the ball, but because of the slick and slipperiness of this turf, what do you say? It was Palacios? He took a tumble, and I think his elbow went into his ribs.
Yeah, it was
inconsequential, or let's say, no, not inconsequential, indirect contact, unintentional contact.
The OEC2 has been put on the clock. We are less than 2 minutes left in 90 minutes of regulation time. You look at LA City College, and almost everyone is pushed up into the attacking third. Nathan Giles, off his head, he finds Jacob Bond, slid away over to LA City. It goes off of a Hornet and goes out. They're going to have to throw it in quickly. Vianney Martinez says, I'm going to take it myself. He runs up and tries to toss it into a teammate. It goes over to a Cub. Vianney Martinez checking back for it. Side slung over towards the middle of the park, now to Acevedo. Little advantage here now for LA City down the middle of the park. They look for Yusuf, and it gets checked away by Ariola. He heads that one down. Once more into the fray, it goes to Dennington Morales. Morales off the head of a Cub. It is a goal kick. Everyone took a look at the far side official, the linesman, and said, hey, what is the call here with weighted breath? And then finally it ended up being a goal kick, and Fullerton College is going to kick this one away. They do get a substitution in. And Jacob Ponce is going to take a seat for Fullerton, and Kevin Castro is in. Precipitation coming down. We might get a yellow card for Steven Martinez. We do indeed, as he does a little bit of time wasting, little gamesmanship here. Trying to make sure that LA City doesn't have enough time to get back into it. Backspun floater. Turned over towards the Cubs. High into the air. Should get about 2 minutes of extra time added on. Here's Acevedo. Acevedo looking to push. He gets that one taken away. Beautiful play there by Dennington Morales. Now Salam Yusuf. Yusuf to the right. Palacios in a foot race. He gets that one on the takeaway. Here's Palacios in alone to his left, and it just goes wide. Kevin Castro was 2 feet away from putting this one to bed.
The intent was there, but I feel like that's where you have to be greedy. And if you think you've got the keeper beat, you take the shot with the slick surface, a slippery ball. That was a nice pass to him, and it was just a bad touch, and it went wide.
Yeah, and for Castro, it's like you said, the touch was there on the initial control if he stops it. He stops that ball, he puts it into the frame, there's no question about it. But the fact that it was slightly bouncing and rolling and skipping almost to him when he goes and puts that away makes it go just wide. He's going to see that one for nights on end. Now, for Fullerton College, you have to make sure that they don't capitalize on this.
Right.
Everyone for LA City is pushed up with the exception of Emilio Garcia, and Garcia says, hey, I'm going to take this. Go ahead and push up as well.
Well, in correction, Ryan, if Fullerton puts a bow on this, I don't think he sees this on nights on end. If anything but a Fullerton W comes of tonight, yeah, he lives with that for a hot minute.
Martinez takes possession of this one. Everyone looking at the official who checks his watch. Cubs still trying to get to it. One more chance for LA City. Ball goes out of play, so the official is going to wait for a little bit, and he points at the bench and gives them the one. So it's going to be one more attack for LA City College right here.
So where we were wrong in the first half, if we would have said he's going to let the advantage play out here, we would have been correct.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be a deep throw, and he is, if you're looking at the track, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lanes deep on the track.
Here's Vianney Martinez. Lots of front spin on that. It's going to go right back out into the same spot.
So nice, we'll do it twice, Ryan.
Official looking at his watch again, claps his hands, gives it another shot. Here's the throw, and this one a little deeper this time. Fullerton heads it away for a second.
Came up there.
Chance here for the Cubs. They backspin it. A chance. Martinez there. It's clinging around. A shot just goes wide. Yusuf had the game tire on his foot. It will not matter as it was offsides. The far side official had his flag up. It will not matter as this one is going to be taken possession of by Fullerton. Martinez will sky this towards the middle. Official looks at his watch one more time, and he might give one more attack to LA City College, thanks to that ball going out.
Well, and as we're in the closing minutes here, if we want to check in on some other games, 24 minutes left in the Cypress-Long Beach game with Cypress up 1-0 as Fullerton takes it, Ryan.
Fullerton College gets the win. The final whistle is there, and the Fullerton College Hornets are going to the third round of the playoffs for the first time since 2022.
And so, as we were speculating earlier, if Cypress won, Cypress comes here. If Long Beach wins, Fullerton's on the road to Cypress.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
if you're a fan of 3C2A soccer, you want to know how this is going to play off. Not meaning to step on you here, Ryan, but you have 24 minutes of play that could determine where and who Fullerton plays. Long Beach takes the lead, is currently in the lead with 24-ish minutes left in that game. If Long Beach wraps it up and is able to put a bow on it like your Hornets were able to do tonight, next week, Fullerton will be on the road to Long Beach and not play the Chargers for a third time, which in the Orange Empire Conference, I believe Fullerton won at home, won away, tied at home, and then, I'll be honest, we didn't know what was going to happen on this third matchup if it happened.
Yeah, it was a scary matchup to take a look at, should it have happened. Now, when you look at the overall bracket very quickly before we get on out of here, Long Beach City College leading 1-0 over Cypress with 25 minutes left. So if Long Beach wins there, Fullerton will travel to Long Beach. That will be next Tuesday. But if Fullerton sees Cypress come back and win that one, just like Joe said, Cypress will be hosted by Fullerton next Tuesday right here at Hal Sherbeck Field. Now, Cerritos does get a win, as does Norco, so it will be Cerritos taking on Norco. That will be at Cerritos on Tuesday night. And if Fullerton College is able to get past that next round as well, if they don't host, they will host on Saturday, November 30th. So everyone waiting, they will continue to check the scoreboards to see if Long Beach wins or Cypress. But for now, Fullerton takes care of the business that they need to. A 1-0 win thanks to Cesar Marquez in the 79th minute, putting Fullerton on top and getting the game winner. That is going to do it for us. We want to thank everyone. Wade, along with Samantha Cesena, Wade Donahoe, in addition to Becky Nguyen. We also want to thank Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich for joining us yesterday and getting that pregame going. Also would like to thank Corey Nayland for being here over to our right, and would also like to thank Caleb Ramos, too, for joining us here on the air. So that's going to do it for Hornet Radio here tonight. Fullerton College 1, LA City College 0. That's the final. We will see whether or not we host on Tuesday here on Hornet Radio one more time. 1-0, Fullerton College with the win. You have been watching Futbol Fridays, but on a Saturday. Looking forward to the third round of the 3C2A playoffs here on Hornet Radio.